At the heart of a nation, changing history. So get out of the way of the land of our dreams. We are a nation, we are part of this. We are a nation, we are part of this. So get out of the way of the land of our dreams. We are a nation, we are part of this. We are a nation, we are part of this.
Jamila is first and foremost my friend and my sister, but she's also a doctoral candidate in Black education. She's an academic activist. She's a poet. She's all things amazing. So please welcome Jamila Lyiscott.
What does it mean for us to allow space for them to master standard forms of English, but then also master their own dialects and their own varieties? Because what's not really well known is that there are many features of our language that are historical, contextual, and very legitimate, but we don't know. We feel, we've internalized the idea that these are not okay. Why is it that the way that I speak, and then even more than that, when I realize there are other manifestations of this, why is it that my skin color, that my hair, that all of these other manifestations of who I am are not welcomed into particular spaces? Okay. And that's when the honest conversation comes. We can't just sugarcoat it like, oh, it's not right to speak that way. Why? We don't ask why enough. Why not? Right? Who decided that what standard and formal and correct English sounds like? Who decided what standard and formal attire looks like? Right? And why do we buy into those norms? And I think those are the hard conversations. Instead of participating in it, because when we participate in it, we just reproduce it, we need to question it, right? Analyze it and understand that it's actually a deep historical wound connected to a lot of the behavior and cultural practices that we buy into. I try my hardest, but I have my own internalized stuff. I try my hardest to not spend my time trying to prove that my Black is worthy to other people outside of the race, right?
If we do not embrace like the colloquial. So for example, I'm from Jamaica, right? So we have patois. So what would you consider the danger, like if I did not embrace patois as something that is like a valuable thing?
Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who I'm just like in complete admiration of, he wrote Decolonizing the Mind. And he spoke about his experience in colonial Kenya and the fact that he was physically beaten for speaking his mother tongue in the classroom. Or if he was caught, if they were caught speaking their mother tongue, they would have to put a sign around them that said, I am stupid or I am a donkey, right? And he realized what was happening. There was a psychological trauma happening, a purposeful and very intentional trauma to divorce the language of the classroom from the language of the community. It was a part of the colonial design. It was a part of making him complicit in his own oppression. There are very valuable, beautiful things within our community that if we embrace could add a lot of value to the larger aims of humanity. But we deny ourselves of that, and we deny the entire world of the beauty of Blackness when we reject our own in favor of someone else's. So I tell this to all of my students, because we speak about racism and a lot of these isms and a lot of oppression, like, this machine, this system, and it makes it sound like there's some kind of alien, right? Like there's a machine where it's us. I'm like, you as the educator, you are the nuts, the bolts, the lever, you're doing it. When we talk about systematic racism, what you do to yourself internally, you're reproducing it. What we do to ourselves in relationships, we're reproducing it. The way that we interact with the spaces that we go to, we reproduce these norms. And so, yes, the oppression that occurred, it was forced on us, but as we move forward and as the physical bonds of slavery have been released, there's more agency moving forward. I mean, I'm not gonna be like, slavery's over, I'm not one of those, but there's more agency, and it's up to us to reproduce or to disrupt those definitions.
Black is all of the things, and it was beautiful to see that. And I think that if we start beginning to celebrate more of that, where all of Black comes from and all of what Black encompasses, I think when we're talking about getting back some of that humanity, I think that's where you can start to get that back.
We cannot keep waiting for external affirmation to make us who we need to be. That we have to decide that being Black is something to be proud of, it's something beautiful. It's something, not just something to say, right? Not just something that's cute, but something that, what is the power of Blackness? How does it contribute to our world? Because we're robbed. We've been robbed of that for centuries. The world has been robbed. I mean, and we still offer so much that we just don't get credit for. But once we understand that and we decide within ourselves, then that's necessary. I think that we need to have real conversations with Black men about what's happening in our world. We need to have real critique and real call to action. Last week, I was blessed to go visit the Woodworth lunch counter where the first sit-ins of the civil rights movement took place. 4 young Black men on a college campus one day said, this has to stop, we're going down there. They started it, they just sat down, right? And so I feel like with this passion that you have in your heart, I mean, and now we have, I don't even understand how these movements happened without the technology that we have today, and that to me sometimes less happens and we have this globalization, it's weird, right? But I think that the answer is that we start. The civil rights movement and other movements were not cohesive movements where everybody were singing, you know, they weren't singing together, everybody at one time. People in packets of outrage were starting something. This has to stop, and it sparked change nationally. Like, we cannot underestimate what your individual call to action for the people of your city, how that will resonate. Think about what that particular moment of outrage, how that connects to more sustainable action in our community, right? That's the problem, right? We get really riled up and then we're like, man.
Right.
Like, no, like we get outraged and then what?
Right.
What are we gonna demand, right? What are we gonna change? What are we gonna take responsibility for? What are we gonna claim? How are we gonna take a stand? And it starts with, do it.
We are the future, we are the dream. We are the nation, we are part of this. Yes, we are so amazing, that's the least we shall be. At the heart of a nation, changing history. At the heart of a nation.